is up, G-Mackers? Welcome to episode 103 of the Talkin G-MAC podcast. I'm your host, Katie Gilhooly, and we're so happy that you're joining us this week for Talkin G-MAC. We have a great show planned for you guys. We'll be talking to Walsh head football coach John Fankhauser on the Cavs 2-0 start. Plus, we'll be joined by Terry Connor, Vice President and Director of Athletics at Thomas More, to talk about their first season of competition in the Great Midwest and a little about his longtime connection to the university. But first, as always, we will start the Talkin G-MAC podcast with some headlines from around the league. The Ashland women's soccer team has been ranked the number one team in the country by the United Soccer Coaches Association after starting the season 4-0. Listen to this, after wins over number 8 Grand Valley and number 4 Ferris State. The Cedarville women are also in that poll, receiving votes. Ashland and Tiffin are both receiving votes in the latest football coaches poll. As conference play gets going this weekend, you can check out all the matchups slated for Great Midwest football on the Great Midwest Digital Network. On the volleyball court, Findlay and Hillsdale are both receiving votes in the latest AVCA coaches poll. And a little off-season basketball news, Ashland women's basketball standout Amy Roshak was named the Midwest Scholar Athlete of the Year by the D2 Conference Commissioners Association. A little bit of national news for the Great Midwest. Tiffin's Talal Kulfi was named the Men's National Runner of the Week. Listen to this. The freshman is undefeated this year, setting a new school record at the Tiffelberg Open last week. And staying with cross country, the Cedarville men sit at 24 in the latest polls, while Tiffin is receiving votes. And on the women's side, Cedarville is 30th, while Hillsdale is receiving votes. And as always, you can find the latest athletes of the week using the code that you see right there on your screen. Or if you're at home listening to this podcast, you can head on over to our website at greatmidwestsports.com.
Baseball for me just kind of was the glue that kept my family together. I feel like I was able to come here and get my triple major, as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
We're happy to be joined now by John Fankhauser, the head coach at Walsh University. Coach, thanks so much for hopping on with us this afternoon.
Hey, pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
Well, a 2-0 start for the Cavs, their best start on the gridiron since they joined D2 back in 2010. You know, I just kind of want to ask what that's been like around campus and what it's been like around the guys over the last couple of weeks with getting those 2 Ws.
It's been a great vibe on our campus. Football season is always the kickoff to the school year as well. And having their first game at home on a Thursday night was a great experience for our kids. It was a great experience for our campus. Our campus was very vibrant and ready to roll and helped us get that win. We went on the road last week to Johnson C. Smith and got a win there too. And it was great to get back to campus. You can kind of feel the vibe around campus that everybody's kind of talking football right now. So it's exciting.
Well, you mentioned that win over the weekend over Johnson C. Smith. You start out the season with a win over West Liberty. Walk me through those first 2 games and what you feel like you saw that went really well to lead you to that 2-0 start.
Well, first of all, I would say that in both games, our special teams were really good. We did a good job. Obviously, at West Liberty, we had a great kickoff return to start the game, which turned into points for us. And that's huge when you can do that and really get the field position and some of those things going. Again, in both games, our defense has really, really played well and done a good job at limiting people. As much spread offense and different things that you face nowadays, that it's hard to hold teams to really under 21 points. And we did that against West Liberty and really did a great job the other day against Johnson C. Smith. So our defense has really been a staple.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the defense, so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Through 2 games, you come in as the second highest rated defense in the GMAC. What has really been jiving for the that side of the ball? Who has kind of maybe surprised you, or who has stepped out to kind of lead that side of the ball?
Well, the first thing that's really jiving is we've been able to get turnovers, and that's been huge for us in really both instances. And really successful defense. Whenever you play successful defense, if you can get turnovers and really limit yourself on turning the ball over on offense, you have a great chance, a great opportunity to win. Cam Holabaugh has probably been the leader of our defense so far. Him and Rocco Iacino, our linebackers, are guys that have gained a lot of plays, and they're older than their years kind of tell you they are, and they're playing very well. They're doing doing a great job leading our group. Guys up front, Gordo Long, Jesse Stevens have really put some pressure on quarterbacks, and our guys in the secondary, Robbie Page, Marvin Conkle, Terrell Greer, and guys like Bobby Jackson. Those guys have done a good job on the back end of it too to really give us a chance. And the thing I really appreciate about our defense is how united they are and how they rally to the ball.
Well, anytime we talk about all the things that are going well, I have to ask you where you feel like maybe some of those improvements have to come, maybe in week 3 or as the season continues. What are some of those things that you've talked to your guys so far about the season that maybe isn't quite where you want it to be?
Well, I look at our offense a little bit there for sure. We've been a little bit unsettled, if you will, in our quarterback position. So that's an area that we have to get better at. We have a lot of young guys, and we're going to play a lot of young guys, and we got to kind of hone in on that guy that can run the offense for us. We also have to be able to establish the run with our guys, and our Cam Macon has done a good job, and Dom Jennings has done a good job in the first game, but last week we were shut down a lot. And that's not necessarily a discredit to our offense, but that was a credit to John C. Smith's defense. They had 2 linebackers that are as good as anybody we've played in the last couple of years for sure, and they created a lot of havoc. But we got to be able to move the ball. I think defensively, one of the things that Coach Johnson and I talked about was tackling better. We had a few too many missed tackles, but we were on the field a lot too. So we got to kind of balance that out and establish time of possession with our offense, but also make tackles and get off the field when we can on defense.
We talked a lot about the vibe on campus and the vibe with the team. Getting off to that 2-0 start has to help that, obviously. How do you use this momentum heading into GMAC play? It starts this weekend.
Well, GMAC play is we have a great conference, and we have to be ready for that. And one of the things that I was concerned about with our team, and I still am concerned about, is how we handle success and how we understand we cannot feel like we've arrived anywhere, because we really truly haven't. One of the things I talked about with our group was we talked about being 2-0, and it's the first time we've been 2-0 for a long time. But we want to get back to that staple of, we're not talking about 2-0, we're talking about 6-0, 7-0. Back in the days of the NAI days when we were really an established program, then we want to get back to that. So that's our goal, is to get to that point. It'll take time, but our kids have been relatively pretty grounded, had a good workout yesterday, off today, and ready to go back at it tomorrow.
Well, you head down to Owensboro this weekend to take on Kentucky Wesleyan to open up GMAC play. I know it's early in the week, but what have you seen from KWC, and what's kind of the message to your team as you head down there for that road trip?
Number one, they're a tough team. They're an improved team from where they were last year. Looking at them playing West Florida, who's a really top probably 15 team in the country. I'm not exactly sure where they're ranked, but they held their own in the first half. I think it was a 14-3 game in the first half. So they were able to play with those guys for a little bit. They have a quarterback that is able to run the things that they're asking him to do and be efficient. He's throwing for a lot of yards and throwing to a pretty good receiver out, number 81 out there as well. So that they have skill, and they've been able to put an offensive line together and some of those things that have really helped them as they've gone. Defensively, I think they are, again, athletic and get to the ball. The thing that I see different from them from last year is they've got 2 guys up front that are young guys, but they're bigger bodies, harder to move, and that'll be a great challenge for us, is trying to establish that run.
Well, as you do make that trip for you guys, if I had to ask you one thing, what's kind of the key to success on Saturday?
Key to success is going to be very similar to what our key to success was last week. Play great defense, limit their opportunities, try to get some turnovers and try to win that turnover margin. Again, establishing the run, but the bigger part also for us, I believe, is special teams, is trying to make an advantage on special teams, because I've talked to our kids about being a young team that special teams has to go win some games for us and or at least give us an opportunity to win games. And I feel like we can do that with our kicking game and our return game.
Well, John, we appreciate your time today. Best of luck as you head down to Kentucky Wesleyan before you travel back home for homecoming against Thomas More the next weekend. So best of luck, and we hope to catch up with you down the line.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Go Cavs.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student-athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student-athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student-athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Well, we're happy to be joined now by Vice President and Athletic Director at Thomas More University, Terry Connor. Terry, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to chat with us here on Talkin G-MAC.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Well, as the pseudo newbies on the block, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to chat with us and to give some of our lifelong or longer members an opportunity to hear more about what Thomas More is about. And I say pseudo newbies because you guys have been a member for a year as you enter your second year, but obviously the first year that you guys have been competing. So, what has this process been like as an athletic director? And for those who don't know, how a university goes about changing not only divisions and affiliations, but also conferences?
Nothing really. We've just kind of been sitting back, hanging out, and just going about business. But no, it's been pretty intense. There's a lot of different things, a lot of with like you said, switching divisions with the different rules and everything. Just trying to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. So that first year, being able to still play in the NAI, that first year provisional membership, and yet following the Division II rules, I thought was really good because it gave us an opportunity to really learn, but also not be so intimidated that we're going to break a rule right at that point while we were still NAI. So that was very helpful, I think, in the process. Now moving into year two, like you said, the pseudo new members, now we feel like a member. Last year we felt like it, but it was a little bit different. Now it's like, okay, we're all in, and it feels really good. So we're really excited to have the opportunity and to be able to start conference play, coming up soon, and that's going to be a lot of fun, and everybody's down here is excited about it. Just to, like I said, get that real feeling of really being in the conference. So it's been a lot of work, with compliance. Corey Blackson's done an unbelievable job with the heavy lift of all the compliance stuff, and just everybody around has contributed so much in that, and it takes everybody to do it. It's not just a one-stop shop. Everybody on campus has to be involved. Luckily, we've got President Chillo, who's highly involved and is really supports us and really backs us in what we're doing. And you can't do something like this without your president being 100% behind you. So that's made a huge difference and made my life a lot easier, quite frankly, with that, because he's given me the support I need to make sure we're making that transition the right way.
We're so excited to have you guys as members, and all the work that you guys have done. For some of our listeners who may not be familiar, as an NAI member, you were not an NCAA member at the time. You guys previously competed in Division III several years ago. So going through that transition, the NCAA wants those schools to really, like you said, understand what those rules are as they make those transitions. So provisional members for last season and then this season, although full-time members of our conference, not quite yet eligible for national championships until a year from now, but eligible for conference championships here in the Great Midwest, eligible for all our awards. So we're very excited to have you guys as a part of the league officially. Like you said, although it was last year, it really feels real now. In saying that, you've got some Division II contests under your belt over the last week or so. What has that been like, seeing coaches and student athletes start to partake in stuff that they've been hearing about for a couple of years now?
It's been fun, and being able to watch them finally compete. They were all hungry to get out there and be able to play and get going and that kind of stuff. So I think that's the best part, and that's what student athletes come to do is, they want to compete, and so when they finally get to realize that and get to do it, that's always the fun part of the year. The beginning of the year is always the best, no matter where you're at and what division, and we took a major jump when we went from Division III to NAI. It was a major leap, and we went into probably one of the best conferences in the country in NAI. So, it's again, we're taking another jump, and you get in and see the competition and play, and it all comes back, and at the end of the day, you're still just competing every day. So that's what we look forward to.
You mentioned making that jump. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, for those who may not be familiar with Thomas More, the success that you guys have seen in NAIA, and the success that you saw in Division III. Can you talk about what that transition was like from D3 to NAIA, and now, what you're telling your coaches and student athletes about this transition as they make another jump?
Yeah, I mean, Division III, we had quite a bit of success, and our women's basketball program with Coach Hands has been our staple program, and he's won 3 national championships, 2 in D3 and 1 in NAI, and he was in the national championship game every year we were in the NAI. We've experienced some pretty good success. Our men's basketball program went to the Final Four in NAI, and Justin Ray's done a great job with that. So, we've got to experience a lot of success in Division III, and then going into NAI, we still experienced success, not quite on the level that we did in Division III, and now we're making this move to Division II. It's funny, everybody asks, well, how are you guys going to be? How are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. We'll get in and play, and we'll find out. And I look forward to it. I think, like I said, I don't think the jump is as drastic because NAI has scholarships just like the Division II does, and so I don't think that jump from Division III to NAI was very, very drastic because of all the scholarships, and so I don't anticipate this being as drastic of a jump. And we did compete in a top 3, arguably, conference in the country with the Mid-South, so I don't anticipate it being greatly different, but like I said, we don't know. We'll find out when we get in and play, and it's just it's fun to be in there. It's fun to be a Division II school, and the recognition you get, around our tri-state area, we're the only Division II in town, so it's pretty neat to be a part of that, and get the Great Midwest recognition in the greater Cincinnati area, even more so than what it was. So we're really excited about that part of it, and I can tell everybody, let's just go in and play, and at the end of the year, we'll look back and say, oh, this is where we were.
Well, you've talked about, and we've kind of gone through that journey of what the athletics department at Thomas More has experienced over the last several years. You enter your 25th year as athletic director. I want to ask you, what it's been like. We talk about conference change and realignment when people are thinking of college athletics, especially college football these days, more so at the D1 level, about all of those changes that are happening. I think there's somewhat of a trickle down effect, right? So we're seeing some of that movement in some of our other divisions as well. How have you seen college athletics change over your 25 years at Thomas More?
It's funny. I just was talking to our student alumni newspaper and that about this a little bit. It's just it seems to me it's just changed so drastically in the fact that it's so much more popular. I mean, people, they've really put a lot into athletics, and it's just from that standpoint, it seems like it's changed a tremendous amount, and we can't lose sight of the vision of what we're here to do, and we're here to educate our student athletes and retain them and get degrees. And I think sometimes that gets lost on wins and losses and what you're doing out there. And, I always tell them, I said, look, go out, compete every day, work as hard as you possibly can. The wins and losses take care of itself. At the end of the day, we're trying to make sure that we retain those student athletes, we get that degree, and then we move them on to great jobs where they can be productive members of society and provide for their families. And that part to me is what's most important. Sometimes I do think people lose sight of that a little bit because they are so hung up on wins and losses. And I don't know if that's really what we should be focused on.
I appreciate you being so candid about the journey that Thomas More has been on over the last couple of years. Before I let you go, I do want to talk a little bit about you and a little bit about your ties to Thomas More and your family ties to Thomas More and what it's been like serving this school over the last 25 years, something that I'm sure is very near and dear to your heart and your family's heart. For those who don't know, your dad was a huge part of Thomas More Athletics as a baseball coach, a basketball coach, the athletics director, and even has the Connor Convocation Center on campus. Growing up, I'm sure Thomas More was a big part of your life. What has it been like serving a university that is so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I think it's been amazing. To be able to, like you said, my father was here from 70 to 78, basketball, baseball, and AD, and that was, I'm sorry, he was here from 78 to 90, and that's when they were NAI, and then transitioned right at the end of his career to Division III, and so being able to do, I got to play for him. I played baseball for his last year of coaching. I was playing baseball for him here at Thomas More, and I graduated the same year as my mother did. My mother was, during the Great Depression, had to drop out of high school, so she got her GED and went back to school while my father was here, and we both graduated the same year. So that was awesome. And then to be able to take a program that my father helped build and take it to the next level, and I'll never forget the first national championship we won, walking into the Connor Convocation Center with that trophy. It was a pretty cool moment to walk into a building named after your father with a national championship, and tiny little Thomas More, who would have thought that? And our women's basketball program, Jeff Hands, brought that home to us, and so it's pretty amazing to do. And so I do take a lot of pride in what we do, we want to represent Thomas More in everything we do very, very well, and hopefully we can take that pride and help represent the great Midwest and enhance its reputation. It's already got a great reputation, and hopefully we can help enhance that moving forward as we become the full-fledged members of the great Midwest in Division II now.
Terry, I need to mention that your wife also is a Thomas More grad, and your two children are also Thomas More grads. So you've kept it in the family, and we think that's so great, and I'm sure it's a really awesome thing to have all that Saints pride beaming around the Connor household for so many years. Well, Terry, we appreciate your time today, and best of luck as you guys continue this transition and continue representing the great Midwest. We're so happy to have you guys as members.
Thank you so much, Katie. Appreciate it, and we really look forward to it and getting more in depth as the season goes on here.